Queen Fee, maybe the busiest woman in sports right now. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this. But I really just want to start with a lot of things because I'm so thankful I get to be here and be a part of the broadcast team here at Unrivaled. So thank you for having me. It's just been electric so far.
We are so lucky to have you. Thank you for coming here, being a part of it.
No, absolutely. It's been, every game has been good. You all have thought about everything. We're currently in the content studio at you all's headquarters. We've got esthetician. You have the best trainers. I mean, you've got the Sephora makeup room. It's just all been handled. So it's just been really, really great. I would love to hear just the process of, okay, this is what we need, and this is what will make the experience the best for everyone.
Mm-hmm. So I think we made two lists. Like the first is what we need. Of course, you need courts, you need recovery stuff, you need locker rooms, blah, blah, blah. Like there's stuff that you know that you need. But then it's like, okay, once we have those bare bones essentials, what will make each of those things better in those fields? So we have equipment that you don't necessarily need, but it's great for recovery. So we try to get the best of for equipment, and then like the best for recovery. So we got all the boots and the gizmos and the gadgets. You know, we did our research and we talked to people who are experts in their fields, like what is the leading technology in recovery or treatment or whatever it is, so we can go above and beyond. And then once we got outside of like the extras for the necessities, we're like, what would just be fun to have?
Yeah.
Like, what would just be cool to have on staff? A makeup room, an esthetician.
And it's a beautiful makeup room, by the way.
It is a beautiful makeup room, yes. An esthetician, she's booked and busy a lot. You know, like having a massage every week or multiple times a week. Just like those extra things that makes the experience. The fan wouldn't necessarily see that. It's not about the fan. It's about making the player experience really fun.
Yeah. And of course, you know, having the daycare there. So the people that come that are moms, they know that their children are right there being taken care of. And also just a part of the basketball experience too. So everything's been really amazing. Skylar Diggins-Smith was telling me how she brings them to every single practice. Yeah.
I mean, as Stu and I are both moms, so we understand how important childcare is. And so that was something that we were focused on pretty heavily from the beginning too, because I mean, you're asking people to come here, you have to be able to, they need childcare, and not only childcare, but people that they can trust and feel comfortable leaving their children with. So that's something that we vetted really heavily and are trying to make it as accessible to the players as possible.
It's obviously been a long journey from when you had the idea to now. But now that you're here, you're seeing in-game action. When was the moment that you said, oh my God, we actually created a league? Like when did it actually settle in? Because I assume it wasn't the announcement. You know, it was probably a different moment.
Yeah. I think when it really, really settled in was when the players all got here and we had our like opening thing that was just for us. And we had like the food trucks, and it was the unveiling of the courts basically. And everyone walked in and got to see it and got to see everything that we built here. That was a really cool moment because it just felt like, you know, all this hard work you can see every day they were building the facility and stuff, and it looked different from the beginning of the day to the end. And that was so cool. But I think to see the excitement on everyone's faces, that was just like, it was an amazing feeling.
Yeah. And it's genuinely infectious. You can see how much everyone is loving their time here. Are you a person that is able to be proud of themselves in the moment?
Honestly, I feel like I'm not proud of myself. I'm proud of the people who, I feel like there are people behind the scenes that don't get the recognition, that are putting in so much work. I am so incredibly proud of them because I just see the hours that they're spending in this, the emotional, like physical, everything toll that this is taking for them to make this the best experience that they can make it for us. And so I am so proud of them because like, it's not easy. You're a startup business and it's a league that has so many eyeballs on it. And we want it to be great. We want it to be great for the players and for the fan and for everyone. The expectations are really high and we're happy for that. We want to meet and exceed those. So I'm proud of the work that they put into that for sure.
Well, I mean, I do hope that like when this season is done and you have this moment to sit back, that you do sit and just say out loud just how proud you are of yourself. Because it has been, like I said, such an amazing experience. And just being here, I have felt super inspired by the fact that we're all in this building, in this whole built out place for an entire league. And it all started with an idea. Like there was something that you felt you needed. There was something that was missing, something that you deserved, and it wasn't there, and you created it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is just something to be so proud of. I'm like, I'm not acting on my ideas. And Fee and Stewie, like they're doing it. So I am proud of you, even if you haven't taken that moment to really think about it yourself. It's been really cool.
Thank you.
Proud of everything you're doing on the court too. I got to be there for your crazy performance. I think 37 points, 18 rebounds, just complete domination. For you, what does it mean to dominate? And do you feel like you're doing that right now at Unrivaled as the league's leading scorer?
What it feels like to dominate, I think I don't really notice in the moment as much because you're just so focused on winning and you're so in the game. Like I didn't know I had that when the game was over until you told me, like, you know, on the broadcast. So I feel like after is when I can kind of take a step back and see that. But I mean, I love this style of game, and I think how much fun I'm having it is exactly why we built it, because you're taking two people off of each side and it allows you to showcase your skills. I feel like I get to show my skills more and I get to work on my game and use those in an actual game, because it's one thing to practice all you can in workouts or whatever it is, but to transfer onto the court is really hard in a game situation because you don't want to look stupid. You don't want to be embarrassed. You don't want to turn over. Like, you don't want to hurt your team because you're working on things.
Yeah.
But this environment allows you to kind of work through that. Your usage is so high with only 3 people. It forces you to get good really fast. And I'm already seeing that in other players as well. And I see it in my own game, just being able to do different things. So that part's been really, really fun.
It's also cool because the off season, of course, is about development, but this is almost like measurable development. So you feel yourself getting better. And then sometimes there's actual results, if they're wins, that show that you are getting better and you're continuing to build with your team. And to your point, so many players have had really amazing experiences. And I was watching the game thinking, which player pitch do you most remember?
Probably the early ones, like Chelsea was an early one.
Who was the first that agreed?
I don't remember. I feel like it might have been Chelsea.
Okay.
I feel like it might have been Chelsea. Don't quote me. But she was definitely like a really early one. Yeah. And I remember that just because, you know, obviously Stewie and I were in there first, and like getting the buy-in from other players is crucial. We wanted this to be the best players in the world. So going out to get them and trying to explain to them something that's never been done, like a style of play that's never been done before. That part was kind of hard, but I think really selling them on the ownership piece of being able to have equity in a league that you're playing in, be able to make money off this sport that in more of a way, in a more impactful way than we were doing at that time, the salaries that we wanted to add, and just like how revolutionary we thought this could be, selling that dream to them. I remember just doing that in the early days. It was like scary and fun, and just trying to get them to buy in. It's like crazy to think back on now.
Yeah. Okay, so when you're going to pitch to Chelsea, right? But you're talking to Chelsea or whoever was first, and there isn't always a player you can say, okay, we have this player, this player, this player. So you were really leading with those things like the equity and the innovativeness of the league.
Yeah, because when you're going after the first people, you can't say these people are already going to do it. So we already have, you know, some people who are in. You just have to sell them on the dream. Like, this is what it could be. We need you to make it happen.
Yeah.
Like, we can then use your name to say, we have Chelsea, you know, we have so-and-so. And then that kind of gets the ball rolling.
For sure. Now, of course, you know, everybody has their own schedules and lives and things they have to do. So no harm, no foul. But was there a player you pitched you really wanted that you didn't get?
I mean, I can't name any names, but of course we go after all the top players. And this is always going to be a league for top players, and we're always going to have room for them. So even if it doesn't work this year, like, we're so confident in what we're building here. We feel good about sustaining, keeping top players in this league.
Yeah. And for all those people, did it seem like everyone was still open to potentially doing it another season, another time?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of factors go into it. You know, this is, again, it was so unknown. You don't know what it looks like. A lot of people thought it was half court until we had our first game, you know, like it's so unknown that you don't know how your style is going to line up. You don't know what it's going to look like. It's a startup. No one knew we were going to have all these brand sponsorships, and we were going to have, you know, all this money coming in, and you might have other commitments that you already had, whatever the reason is. You know, you don't really begrudge people for not wanting to do it. You have to rock with what you've got. And, you know, I think we're doing great with the people that we have here.
Yeah, of course. Okay, well, speaking of the people that you have here, I'm very, very, very excited about this one-on-one tournament.
Yeah.
I am so excited for that. So correct me if I have any of these numbers wrong, but I believe the winner gets $200,000. But then everybody that's on their team also gets a cut of that.
Gets $10K each.
Okay, yes,
Yeah.
gets $10K each. Amazing. I hope everyone's going to sign up just for the chance.
I know.
Yeah.
Just to try.
Yes,
Yeah.
just to give it a go. Tell me like your 3 dream matchups for that. Who do you want to see go one-on-one?
Ooh. It would be really fun to see like Arike and like Rakia go one-on-one because their styles, like they're so shifty and like skill oriented. That would be really fun. I'm sure it's going to be fun for people to see me and Stewie go against each other.
That's what I was going to say if you didn't say it.
Yeah. I know what the people want.
Who gets the edge? Let us know.
Yeah. What are some other good ones? People who are on like the same team might be fun, or who have been on the same team, you know?
Yeah.
Those like little juicy storylines.
For sure.
Yeah.
I
Only
love
peeping
that.
everything.
Yeah. So I want to talk about that because something I thought was really interesting. I was having a conversation with Kayla McBride, and she said that one of her favorite things about this is the game within the game. And she goes, you think when I was going up against Sabrina, I wasn't thinking about the finals? Because I was. When you watched her, were you thinking about that?
When I was watching Mac?
Yeah.
Honestly, no.
No? Okay. Okay.
But I think everyone, like, I don't know if you watched that Michael Jordan documentary, but he's like, I took that personally. You know, everyone needs something to get them motivated, you know? And like some people do that. Like I know Mac likes to do that. So I should have been thinking that she was thinking that.
Yeah.
You know, so I feel like everyone kind of takes little pieces because this game is really new and fun, but we've been playing basketball a long time. Sometimes you need like that little edge, whether it's perceived or real, to kind of, you know, like get you in that zone.
Yeah.
And so I feel like everyone gets there differently. And I know that's how Matt gets there sometimes.
For sure. Okay, well, speaking of that finals moment, I mean, you are currently through 3 games undefeated at 3-0. Stewie
Hooty-hoo.
is 0-4. I'm sure you all have had this conversation amongst friends. What are you all chatting about?
I think just like, you know, what are you guys doing in practice? What's working for your team? What's not working for your team? And they also have been unfortunate, like unlucky with injuries. That always is so hard to like combat. So just like, you know, basketball stuff, like, you know, obviously it sucks to lose. So just frustrations there, but you know.
Yeah. I love the dynamic that you and Stewie have. Of course, it was great watching you all go up against one another in the finals, but then obviously we knew that this was coming up. What was the dynamic there? Was there just no talk about Unrivaled during the finals?
Everything was on pause.
Yeah.
There was no talk of the business. It was definitely, we were locked in on our separate teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody else was handling everything else.
Yeah.
Okay.
We weren't on any joint business calls or recruitment calls or anything at that time.
Yeah. Okay, so I would love to just hear more about where you're at right now with that loss. I've read you say that initially that feeling was anger. What is the feeling now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something like I always get like beef for saying this, but that, I mean, I'll just never forget it, you know? It was my first like really hard loss in my career. And especially when you feel like it was like unfair, whatever it was, I feel like it's something hard to get over. And I'm honestly not going to apologize for that. I'm a competitor. I want to win. I shouldn't get over that. I should use it as fuel, which is exactly what I'm doing. I'm working really hard. I'm doing everything I can to use Unrivaled for exactly what I was built to, like build my game and to get better, because I don't want to be in that position again. Next time I'm there, I want to win. And so that's kind of where I'm at with it, is just using it as fuel for the next time I'm playing in the W season, because it sucks to lose. And as a professional athlete, everyone feels that way. That's why we're great, because you hate losing. So I'm kind of just using it to better myself, because you can't change the past, but hopefully I can, you know, do a different outcome for the future.
For sure. You said you feel like you'll get beef when you talk about this. What do you mean?
Oh, people just calling me a sore loser. I'm like, I am a sore loser. It
should
sucks.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I am very sore about losing.
Yeah. With you and Stewie being so close, right? What has that conversation been about the result, about the foul that you don't believe was won? And a lot of people didn't believe was won.
She thinks it was a foul. And I think it's just, you know, I mean, she's on the winning side. If I was on the winning side, I would be saying the same thing. I'm on the losing side. So, you can say all you want, but you lost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, I don't begrudge the team at all. I never had beef with the team. It was the refereeing that I had a problem with.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not like we had to overcome anything. I have no hard feelings. I'm happy for them. Like, if I was a player or a team, like, I'm happy that you had that. I wanted it for my team and myself. But I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the referees.
Totally. I'm just so curious about the inner workings of this because obviously Stewie did nothing wrong. It was the referees. But after a moment like that, do y'all take a minute before you chat? Is it you sort of have to get back into it? What's the process?
No, we haven't really talked about it in depth, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, because I have no hard feelings towards her. So it's not like it was ever awkwardness that we had to overcome.
Yeah. What did that loss awaken you?
On the record or off the record?
On. But off if you want, but it's on.
Again, I think just like that feeling where, okay, I need to get better. So I'm not in a situation where it's coming down to the referee at the end of the game. I want to win by 20 next time. So there's nothing they can do. It doesn't matter if I agree with the call at the end or not, because we have won by so much.
What's your real answer?
I'll tell you when the cameras are off.
Okay, I'll take it. As long as I can get it, I'll take it. How do you move forward after something like that? Just what's the next step in terms of, you'll always remember it, you'll always internalize it, but how do you then keep pushing?
I think just what I talked about, how everyone has something that they used to fuel them. I mean, it's like, I've accepted it. Again, you can't change the past, but I want to make sure that I'm not in that position again. So I'm using it to better myself and to better my game where, again, I put myself and my team in a position where we don't have to rely on anyone but ourselves.
Yeah. I remember interviewing Jason Tatum after they lost the finals, I believe in 2022. And one of the things he just kept saying was that it's just so hard to get there. And he's like, you don't really realize it until you're there, but it's just such a journey to actually get there.
Yeah.
And that is sort of what you're thinking about in the off season. Like, I just had to go through all this.
Yeah.
Is that a similar experience for you?
Yeah, it definitely is like exhausting to think about because, I mean, I was spent after the season and we're adding more games and a longer series. So, I mean, it's exhausting, but that's what makes it great. Like, if I was feeling good after, it wouldn't be as sweet, And honestly, you take it day by day. Like the end of the year feels so far, but by the time you get to Christmas, it's like that flew by, Yeah. So I think just focusing and being really present. Like I'm so focused on Unrivaled right now. I want to win this championship right now. And so again, just taking it day by day. And I'm not thinking about the WNBA Finals right now. I'm just thinking about making myself better.
For sure. Well, I mean, you had a phenomenal season. Won Defensive Player of the Year. You were second in MVP voting, made your fourth All-Star team. What do you think this season just represented in terms of what and who you are in this league?
I think it solidified me a little bit just with the growth of the game. I just saw my name in a lot more conversations. So, I mean, that was really cool to see just because the work you put in, and obviously I believe in myself as a player, to have that recognition is always really nice. But more than anything, like being in the position that I've worked for 6 years with my team, being in a position where we're in Game 5 of the WNBA Finals, that was really that was awesome.
Yeah.
So that was something that I've worked really hard to try to get myself to be in, and to do it with that team specifically where we just got along so well. Like we just genuinely really liked each other, which is so rare.
Yeah.
I mean, so rare, especially in professional sports, because there's always egos and, you have to always give a little bit sometimes. And we didn't. It was just such a special situation where we liked each other and we were good. You don't usually get both.
Yeah, I was just about to say it's one or the other normally. Yeah.
So it was just so fun. And then I got to go to the Olympics with my family. The first time I went was Tokyo and it was lockdown. And I had a really small role. I had a bigger role in the Olympics this time. Yeah. It was such a fun last game. We almost lost. That's it's not fun, but it makes it exciting.
Totally. Keeping us on our toes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to do that and be there with my family. My daughter was there. It was just a really fun year of basketball. The finals was great basketball. It was like so fun to be a part of. I know people enjoyed watching it. Yeah. The crowd turnout, just the explosion in women's sports that we're seeing, all while building Unrivaled and like the momentum that was getting and recruiting players and talking to investors and brand partners and, you know, having the lead up to, okay, we're going to start building soon and closing our round. It was just a really exciting, like fast paced, busy year.
Exciting.
Yeah. It was really fun.
Yeah. I love asking athletes like this, and I think that you are in the perfect position to answer this. To you, what is a star and what is a superstar? When do you know you've crossed that threshold, and do you feel like you have crossed that threshold?
Well, I think star and superstar is honestly based on the public, in my opinion. I don't think it has to do with how good you are. I think that's like good or great player, but star or superstar is based on how much people like you.
That's so interesting.
So yeah, I think we have superstars in our league and we have stars in our league for sure. And it doesn't always match up with like how good they are at basketball, or not how good they are at basketball, but maybe the accolades they have already or what they've been able to do. So I think that's probably the determining factor.
Okay. And where do you think you are at the moment?
I would say star, definitely not superstar. But I think I'm maybe a rising star, not even star yet, maybe like a rising star.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then to you, if you think about the W, who are the superstars that come to your mind?
Our rookie class, like Angel, Caitlin, Asia, like Kelsey Plum, like names that you know even if you're not into like WNBA.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, I feel like you are very much so there.
I feel like I'm a rising star.
Yeah.
Like if you don't, I feel like if you don't watch WNBA, I'm not as well of a known name. Like if you watch women's sports, I think you know my name more.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, second in MVP voting, they should all know your name. But I hear you. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever really thought about. I hear what you're saying because right, superstar. A lot of that could be like sponsorships or commercials or just how much you're out there and how you're marketed and things like that. But when you're talking about the impact that a player has like on a team and on the league and their standing and when they're on that court, there's a very good chance they are the best player. I'm like, that is a superstar in the league. And when it comes to that, I feel like you absolutely are that. Do you think that on the court you have crossed that threshold?
I think so.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've worked really hard to do that.
For sure.
Just like impact my team in more than one way. So, you know, like more than just scoring. So I try to be obviously really active on defense, and in more ways even than the stat sheet, like, you know, deflections, we count that as a team. It's not an actual stat, but also growing my leadership style. I'm not naturally a really vocal person, but the past several years, I feel like I've really tried to grow in that because one, I knew Sylvia was leaving and she was like our leader on our team. And usually, I mean, coach would telling me this from, you know, several years ago when she was trying to get me to be in this role and kind of prime me for still leaving. It's like usually your best player has to be the leader on the team because you're setting the tone for how everyone else is going to be. And like, if I'm going to be in that position, I want to make sure that I'm a good leader for my team, that they can come to me and that I can lead them appropriately into where we want to be.
Yeah. As I was researching for this, there was a Washington Post article about you. Great article. The headline was, "She's the superstar nobody talks about." Do you feel that way? Do you feel like maybe you aren't being talked about the way you should be?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's changed a lot this year. Like just, again, with the explosion of the sport, I think we're just more accessible. I think a lot of people should be talked about more.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I was talking about with star and superstar. You can't help who people latch onto, like who becomes popular and who doesn't.
Yeah.
I've never honestly been really worried about that. Like, I want to be well known within my sport. Like, I want to be known in my sport for being a great player. That's more important to me. And so I care about that a lot more than being like what I said before as a superstar.
Yeah. I think in that same article, they had a quote from your husband, Alex, and it was something to the effect of like, I tell her to be an asshole. Or like, I want her to be more of an asshole. What do you think he means by that? And do you think that you should add more of an element of that to your personality on the court?
Yeah, he thinks I'm too nice for sure on the court.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think also there's like a nuance in our sport. Like, not everyone receives well being yelled at. And like, he's a guy, he came from men's sports where I feel like that is a little bit more the norm. And so I don't know if he gets it all the way, you know. But I feel like too, it's something I'm working on too in my leadership style, just being able to like hold people more accountable, and being more vocal in that way. It's hard for me like naturally to do that. And again, it's something that I've been trying to work on because I do think that's a really important quality in a leader. You have to be able to hold people accountable. Otherwise, you know, like it's going to be mayhem. Yeah. You have to have laws and rules, you know?
For sure. I bring it up because in some ways, I think that comment like weirdly ties into how people perceive certain players because for whatever reason, I believe fans almost think you have to be that way for them to then latch. I don't agree with that. But I think it says something about how we view what a star is and what a superstar is and how much people want you to be that like in your face kind of person, even if it just simply isn't who you are. And I don't necessarily think people have to change to fit that, but it feels like you're always being asked to change to fit that, if that makes sense.
I agree with you 100%. Yeah. I've said that multiple times to my family. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And it's like, it's good to be nice. I feel like I'm nice. Everyone likes the nice person. Yeah. Maya Moore had some really great things to say about you, and I just want to get your reaction to it. It was when she came back to Minnesota, and she said, "I can just tell the Fee is hitting her prime." Are you in your prime right now? Does it feel that way?
I would say so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does your prime look like?
I think for me, it's more of a mental space because I think I've always had the talent, like you know what you can do, you know what I mean? And then not doing it is the frustrating part. So I feel like I'm in a headspace where I'm taking more control. I'm being more aggressive. I just feel like more comfortable and confident and sure of myself, I guess, in these past couple of years than when I first came to the league.
And that sounds to me, it's just a little bit more mental. How is that mental aspect showing through what we see? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is 100% mental. I think just a more like surety in myself and in my game, you know, not being rushed, taking my time, being a little smarter in the way that you play. So making reads, knowing how people are going to guard you, you know, counter moves when you know people are going to double team you or whatever it is, just kind of playing the game a little bit more in that way.
She also said, which is probably crazy to hear, Maya Moore is my GOAT.
Yeah.
I love Maya Moore. But she said about you, I still can't wrap my mind around our paths and how similar they are.
It's so weird.
What do you think when you hear like Maya Moore say that about you?
It's so weird. Like I always say this, I feel like I just miss her everywhere I go. Like we're both from Jefferson City, a small town in Missouri. And then she like just left when I was starting to play basketball. She went to Georgia and then she went to UConn and then like she just left and then I went to UConn and then she gets drafted to Minnesota and then she literally just leaves a year prior and then I get drafted to Minnesota. So it is really weird. Like just those, I feel like I'm just always a step behind. But I mean, to be named with her at all, like, is such an honor. She is also my GOAT. I mean, just such a talented, like, generational talent.
Unstoppable. And I feel like people right now don't understand.
Yeah,
it was domination to a different level.
And she stopped in her prime. Like, just such a crazy life that she's had.
Yeah.
Honestly. So again, just to be named with her at all is like such an honor.
Yeah. And then Cheryl Reeve said, the impact of Maya Moore is that Napheesa Collier got to dream of one day being like Maya Moore. What has her existence just meant to your basketball life?
She was a role model that I could look up to, especially in a time where women's sports wasn't super accessible and you couldn't see it everywhere. Just having someone from my hometown that grew up to be an amazing basketball player, someone who I do feel like I'm so like, where, you know, looks like me and like I can model my game after her. And we're from the same place. We can go to the same school. Just someone who's like accessible in that way. I think it's just so important for little girls to have, little kids, not even little girls, boys or girls to have. And so that is like something I'm really excited about with the growth of women's sports is to have that accessibility because not even only little girls, like I said at the games, but little boys too, like coming up, just kids like idolizing you and wanting to be like you. it's just like a really amazing feeling, and it's definitely like a heavy weight because you should take that really seriously. But it's amazing that we have the opportunity to be in that place, to be that for someone else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would say you take it very seriously. We are here at a league that you built with your friends and your husband and so many people that have supported you. So you are absolutely doing all the right things.
Thank you.
I want to talk a bit more about Unrivaled, because when you were talking to Boardroom about what attracted players to this league, you said that, well, we all have the same pain points. And I just thought pain points was such a specific use of words, because it implies either, you know, like hurt or something that just doesn't make you feel good.
Yeah.
How has almost this feeling of maybe not being valued the ways that you deserve to bonded everyone here?
I mean, I think it's kind of exactly what you said. Just we all go through the same thing, you know? And it's really honestly harder for the places where some people have more than others. You know, like I'm fortunate at Minnesota to we have great facilities, and, you know, it's a very professionally ran organization, and not everyone has that. And so especially for those players, like so many have come up to me being like, you know, this is great. We don't have this here. And I feel really great that we can offer them here. And that's the point of this. But it also kind of sucks that you're not getting that in your other professional environments.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I feel like Pain Point kind of just hits it on the nail of the head. It's like, it's a pain that we don't have these. Like, we're supposed to be professional athletes, and we're not treated like that. We are practicing with the general public, or we're changing in front of strangers. You know, like, that is not the way that in 2025 professional athletes should be treated. And that's another reason why we wanted to start Unrivaled. We wanted to change the narrative, or even the meaning of what it is to treat women's athletes. Like, we should be given the best of everything too, and we should be fighting for that, which is exactly, I think, what we're trying to do here.
When you're talking about this, what I think in my head is, of course, it is amazing that we have Unrivaled. It has been such a phenomenal league so far. But is there this element of also just like frustration that you even had to do it, if that makes sense, that you had to make this because it didn't exist for you?
Yeah. I think it's a blessing and a curse. Like, yes, I wish that we hadn't, like, I wish we were treated better in our other places of work, you know? But also I think Unrivaled.
And because it's what you deserve, not because you're just like, I want to be treated. You should be treated that way.
Yes. But I think also Unrivaled, even if we did have the best of everything in the WNBA, still fills a hole, because it still allows us to grow our game and to build our brand sponsorships, which a lot of people don't realize that we make most of our money off the court. By several times. And so, you know, when you're going overseas or you're not playing, your brand essentially goes dark. You can't activate with these people who want to activate with you. And so content was like a huge thing for us here. And then, of course, like, if you're not going overseas, people don't just go there for the money. They also go there to grow their game. It's really hard to do that in one-on-one trainings. Like, if you're not actually playing basketball, it's hard to simulate that.
Yeah.
So you still needed to get better. And so I think even if we had the best of the best in the WNBA, Unrivaled would still be needed, because we're not playing year round. We're not playing in traditional basketball season. And we're not getting seen as much as we are here, frankly. We're on primetime every single night that we play.
And it's great. It's really great. TNT, True TV for all of them. There's obviously been a lot of conversation about all of the amazing things that you all have been able to do in this short time compared to some of the things that the W hasn't been able to do. Have they had any conversations with you about their shortcomings?
I don't think so. I don't think so. But to be fair, like, we in the WNBA, a lot of things are handicapped by the NBA. Like, they own a majority of the WNBA. So any brands that are with the NBA, you can't have any conflicting brands with the W. So, you know, for example, I think the NBA is sponsored by, like, what is it, Patron or whatever alcohol it is. So if, you know, Grey Goose wants to come to the W, we're like, sorry, you can't give us all your money because the NBA has this, even though we're getting, you know, 2% of it. So they're handicapped in a lot of ways that we aren't here.
What is it that, if just generally, you would want people to know and understand about what can make life in the W better and easier?
Just anything that can make it better there.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like, all of it? There's so many things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the charter flights were a huge, they were a huge win for us. It took a long time to get there, but we got there.
Yeah.
That was a big one. And I think just a standard of, like, I wouldn't say living, but work environment. So we all need like private facilities. We need private changing rooms. Just a space that's only for our team, that's not accessible to like the general public, because not only is it super unprofessional, it's a safety hazard.
Absolutely.
We were just talking about how much the game is growing, and to allow people we don't know to come in and have access to people who, there's crazy people out there.
Oh yeah,
like,
it's a security risk.
Yeah, it's a security risk. You don't know.
Yeah.
So I think just a standard of work environment is like the next step.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Before we go, I of course want to talk to you some about beautiful Mila.
Yes.
She's the best. I saw her at a game the other day. She's always smiling, by the way. And just like the cutest, she looks so much like you, like has your cheeks. It's just, she is precious. Tell us about how she's changed your life.
Oh my gosh, in every way. Literally in every way. She's just so fun. Like, just being a parent, it is 100% the hardest thing I've ever done, but it's so rewarding. Like, every frustration that you have, as soon as she's like, Mama, and she runs to you, you just forget everything. It's like, it's just the best. And so much of my life is basketball. It's so easy to get wrapped up in it, but she just is such a, like, you can just take a step back and kind of put everything into perspective. She doesn't know or care if I win or lose anything. Yeah. No matter how low or high the stakes are. Yeah. And so, like, after we lost the WNBA championship, obviously spirits were really down. Everyone was like sad and in a bad mood, and we were on the bus on the way to the airport the next morning. And Mila doesn't know, so she's just being like her regular chipper self. And like 10 minutes in, everyone's laughing and playing with Mila, and it just like kids just change your mood. They're just so innocent, and they're just like so loving. It's just the best feeling.
Yeah, and it's just unconditional from kids.
Yes.
They also have no filter. But
no filter. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're experiencing
What's the wildest thing she said so far?
She hasn't said anything too like outlandish, but she's super into like good guys and bad guys, because we were watching like Minions and kid stuff. She's like, that's a bad guy. Over there, like to random people, or she loves to say like, hi stranger. Yeah. So she's like, hi stranger, and they're like, hi. She's like, that's a bad guy. Like, I'm so sorry.
Well, this is going to come in handy during the seasons, though, because you're always like, my team's the good guys. Yeah. That team, they're the bad guys.
They're the bad guys.
Yes. I was talking to Skylar Diggins-Smith, and she was saying how when she came back from maternity leave, she didn't feel like herself, and that it wasn't necessarily her body. It was like her mind. Was that your experience?
Yeah. It's so hard. Like, it's so hard. And the crazy thing is, it affects everyone differently. So it's not even like you can't take any sample. There's no sample size. Like, everyone is so different. But just like your body doesn't feel like your body. Your mind is a million miles away, especially depending on how fast you come back. Like, I played my first game like 11 weeks after I had Mila. So
wild.
Yeah. Don't recommend. Wouldn't do it again.
Literally superwoman.
But it's just like your world changes, especially with your first. I feel like I haven't had a second yet, but I imagine just your life is so different after you have a child, and, I'm not moving the way I used to. I'm not as fast as I used to. I've obviously put on some baby weight. I'm nursing. So am I leaking? Like, your mind, there's so many things that you didn't even think to think about before. Yeah. So it's definitely like a hard mental thing to kind of adapt to.
Well, the seasons after Mila have been your best basketball. She might be.
She makes you sure. What doesn't kill me makes me stronger.
Yes, absolutely. Before we go, we ask every person the same question. Who has been your biggest assist off the court?
My parents, for sure.
Tell me more. I've read a lot about them. Your dad seems phenomenal.
Yeah. They are just kind of the definition of like ride or die. They have always just put our family first, my brother and I. And they really, especially when I grew up and kind of saw the pressure that some parents put on their kids to play sports, I just never experienced that. I didn't even know it was a thing. Every single season, they'd be like, is this still something you want to do? All the way up until I left for college. Is this still something you want to do? Do you still want to play? Like, there's no pressure whatsoever. They don't care if I win or lose. It's not about them. They care about my happiness and my well-being. And then, the first year I had Mila when I came back, that's those 11 weeks or whatever, 6 weeks when I came back to the team. My mom was there the whole summer with me. My dad was been with us the past 2 summers, helping to care for Mila while I'm away on games. And Alex obviously works full time too. So we're super busy. And so they just the type of people to drop everything to help their family. So the best role models that you could have.
That's beautiful. Shout out to moms and dads.
Shout out to Gamal and Sarah.
Yes, truly doing the Lord's work. Also, I have to say this. I learned this nugget researching Fee that I did not know. 13-year-old Fee almost signed and went to Mizzou.
Yeah.
But UConn got her.
Yeah. My dad stopped me.
How wild would that have been?
That would have been crazy.
Sorry, Mizzou fans. Yeah. I know you don't want to hear that she could have been on your team.
Blame my dad. He did it.
You were a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me here, for taking the time to do this. And I'm excited for the games tomorrow.
Thanks, Taylor.